So there's a new study which finds that legalizing cannabis, also known as marijuana, pot, weed, etc., legalizing cannabis lowers demand for prescription drugs. And this really shouldn't come as a surprise to us. I mean, if we want to focus in just narrowly on this, we know that sometimes cannabis can be a substitute for pharmaceutical anxiety medication. We can know that cannabis. We know that cannabis is sometimes a workable substitute for big pharma sleep medication. We know that cannabis can be a replacement for opiate pain medication. There's a long list, and it's not the idea that cannabis is this panacea cure-all substance, but we know from good studies that in many cases you can find a cannabis-based alternative for a variety of different symptoms where you might reach for some other kind of medication. Now, whether we say it's better to reach for the cannabis or not, I'm not even evaluating that in this segment. It actually doesn't matter for our purposes. But the point is, we know that there is this very the tentacles of opposition to cannabis legalization come from a number of different areas. And now we have a new study which points very specifically to this aspect of it. There's a good piece in The Hill about this. Legalizing marijuana lowers demand for prescription drugs, study finds. The reductions in drug utilization that we find could lead to significant cost savings for state Medicaid programs. The results also indicate an opportunity to reduce the harm that can come with the dangerous side effects associated with some prescription drugs, one researcher said. I encourage you to read about the study and the details about the study. But as I pointed out, they found a decline in the volume of prescriptions targeting pain, depression, anxiety, sleep, psychosis, and seizures in states that have legalized recreational use. So what are the kind of important takeaways as we think about this as a political issue? It makes a lot of sense that lots of different elements would want to keep cannabis illegal, or at least not recreationally legal. It increases profits in a number of different areas. I'm only going to mention a few. There's probably more. So big pharma. If you have widespread recreational cannabis legalization, big pharma profits would likely go down in those places. Private prisons. We've said before, private prisons are not as big in the United States as some people think. I think the last study I saw says private prison inmates are 9 or 11% of federal inmates, and like 0% or close to zero at the state level. I believe that that's true. But to some degree, when you have more reasons why someone might be imprisoned, that's good for private prison profits, for sure. The bail bonds industry. If you take something that's currently against the law and you make it legal, fewer people will demand the service of bail bonds. Lawyers, right? I mean, to some degree, if you eliminate a crime, you eliminate the need for lawyers to defend people against charges for that crime. We also know that cannabis legalization lowers demand for alcohol. I don't know, but I wonder if it reduces the demand for cigarettes. Maybe I don't know enough about the cigarette piece to be able to say for sure. And I'm sure that I'm missing many here in my discussion of this. So this is both why, on the one hand, a lot of these different industries would want to keep cannabis illegal. Oh, sorry, I forgot a major one. Police departments. Seizures, both of drugs, but also of cash associated with the dealing of cannabis, etc. That's also another big aspect of this. Police departments, local police departments receiving significant monies as a result of cannabis not being recreationally legal or even decriminalized at all. So on the one hand, that's why big pharma would oppose cannabis legalization. But at the same time, it seems big pharma realizes the writing is sort of on the wall. And big pharma has also been pursuing patents related to cannabis. So it's like they don't like it until they take over the business and can monetize it, at which point they really like it. None of this should surprise us. And if you've been following the political discussion around cannabis for any period of time, or for more than a decade, as we have on the show, you would understand the incongruency, and we could really call it a double standard or hypocrisy that exists compared to so many different things. When you look at the Schedule 1 federal designation of cannabis, up there with the most damaging and addicting substances of no medicinal value, hold on a second, we know, I mean, the study, Big Pharma concedes that legal cannabis is a threat to their profits because it is of medicinal value, without calling it a panacea, of course. You know that the Schedule 1 designation doesn't make any sense. And we've talked about all of these aspects before. So here is another one. And I still on this, there was a period I remember early in the show's history where we started to see gay marriage legalization in one state, in another state, in a third state, in a fourth state. And at the time, I remember conversations with the team and with guests. There was a certain feeling of inevitability that it's hard to imagine 10 years down the line that gay couples, lesbian couples wouldn't be able to get married anywhere in the United States. And indeed, ultimately, it happened. I have a similar feeling of inevitability to some degree when it comes to cannabis. I don't know how soon we're going to see recreational legalization nationally. I don't know about that. But there's a sense of inevitability that we are heading in the direction, at least, of federal decriminalization. I don't know when it will come, but there's that same sort of sense that I have. If you disagree, let me know. I'd be interested in hearing from you.